Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on June 3rd, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life calling to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I personally guide just about every decision I make by. Now, with this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into it, definitely hats off to Storm, who is our primary moderator. He hides in the back a lot of the time, making sure technology keeps working, and that if we have any problem children come in, i.e., people coming in to cause a scene, to maybe insult somebody, this sort of thing, Storm is there to make sure they stay out. Now, even if you've crossed that line in the past, if you come into the room and you're not misbehaving, and just read the rules at the top of the stream. Okay, if you do that, you're still going to be able to stay. If you get popped, you'll still be able to hear. You just won't be able to interact. Now, there's LA Moon joining us. She is the primary moderator in the chat room, and she helps keep the conversation moving if it stalls, or throw questions out when other people aren't asking. But the biggest thing she does is make sure my health is taken care of. By the way, coffee does not actually affect energy levels for me. Essentially, I'm immune to it, like most things. Now, I did the rare thing where I actually made notes for myself to try and keep on track. But today we are going to be looking at reorienting your current life. Now, most people out there, myself included, are not truly content with the way their life is going. Now, I'd love to ask for a show of hands, and if I was talking to you live, I would. But that being said, ask yourself this: are you content with your current path in life? Are you happy with it? Is it what you were expecting or what you were aiming for? Okay, this is not, is anybody else happy with it? It's just if you are. Because that's the first thing you have to take a look at. Are you content with it? Are you feeling fulfilled? Yeah, LA goes, caffeine makes me sleepy. Try sugar. In all fairness, sugar doesn't do much for me, but what the heck? Well, I guess that depends on what you call sugar. But, when you look at your life, all right, is your life bringing you a sense of fulfillment? Now, right now, I'm doing my best to get all kinds of books written, primarily because I've got this neat little idea. If I die before I get the information out, the information is gone. Okay. Now, with that in mind, this could be bad. I don't have time to deal with that, so my apologies as far as the on goes. No, I'm not going to bed. And I've had enough sugar today that we're just not going there because that's going to cause a problem. But one of the things we have to look at, LA goes, I have to avoid sugar, but makes me tired. The only sugar I tend to avoid is I just avoid alcohol on the whole. Okay, but if you're not feeling fulfilled, maybe you had a goal in life that you were aiming for way back. When you were a kid and you had these big dreams, this is what I desire to be. Okay, very few of you are in the boat I'm in. I was told in grade 10 that I could write. What I wasn't told was I didn't know how to market. But the first thing you do, take a look at your life. Are you feeling fulfilled in your current lot? Now, this does not mean you have the biggest house, the biggest car, are you dating a runway model, or are you married to one? It is not about that. It is about whether you are feeling content. Okay. Oh, LA goes, alcohol is sugar on superburn. Well, rest assured, being as I used to be an alcoholic, I went through way more than my fair share. Okay, not a good path. But the first question you ask, are you content? Are you feeling fulfilled with what you're doing? If the answer is no, tonight, not next week, not 7 seconds from now, not a week down the road, right this moment, we're going to put you on track to change your life now. And the whole catch to it is this. When you look at your life, if you're content with it, well, you're probably not listening. Okay? If you're not, understand, as long as you're not dead, it's not too late. Okay? It's not too late to change. But something you got to realize, if your goal was to own your own house by the time you were 30, and you're now 31, you're not going to own your own house by the time you're 30. It's not going to happen. Doesn't mean you won't be able to own your own house. Okay, I was just asked by somebody today, why not, is there anything wrong with my buying a brand new car of the current year? Okay, I looked at the individual and I went, no, there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to realize that from my understanding, you buy a car of the current year, the value is going to drop like that, 20%, roughly. But if you're planning on keeping it for the next 30 years, who cares whether the value drops? And this is the thing about life fulfilling for you. So the first thing you do, okay, that's the first question you got to ask. Now, the second question you ask when you realize, no, I'm not entirely fulfilled. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, all things being equal, what would you absolutely like to be doing? What do you think you would like to be doing? Now, I will tell you, it's a lot easier to identify what you're not content with than what you may be content with down the road. Okay, so we'll get to that in a minute. But ask yourself, you're living your life as it is right now. Is this what you would like to be doing, or is there something else you'd like to give a hand at? Okay, I've talked to a lot of people, especially in my industry. Okay, I've talked to a lot of people that have gone, I tried to get my book published, and they told me it wasn't good enough. Or, I desire to be an artist, but I'm told I can't draw. Okay, I actually knew an artist. I used to have a painting of hers. She told me she was a pathetic artist. She was just no good. So she only had 2 clients and she only painted by request. Of course, the kicker was she wasn't good in her eyes. She only painted for National Geographic and Ducks Unlimited. Now, I don't know about you, but if those are your only 2 clients, my guess is you know how to paint. Okay, but the real trick to all of this is ask yourself, what in your life are you not content with? That is way easier to determine than what you may be interested in. How many people going through school are told, get your career in order, pick a career? They get into a career because they're told this is what you got to do. You desire to be successful, pick a career before you get out of school. Okay, make sure you've got your life set before you're 20. I'm telling you, this is just absolutely bizarre rule and bizarre guidance. Okay, whatever age you are right now, you're not going to attain your goals from any time before the current age. It's not going to happen. And for those of you that think that you can travel back in time, well, good luck with that. Okay, I can tell you, going back in time doesn't work. But looking at a past goal, maybe you desire to learn to play the bagpipes. And I do believe in this chat room, we do have periodically a bagpipe teacher. I don't know how you ever teach a bagpipe, but what the heck. Okay, but with that in mind, if you always desire to learn to play the bagpipe, okay, I don't care if you're 85 years old. If you got the lung capacity to do it, give yourself a challenge and learn. Now that's just one thing out of midair for you. Find out what you're not content with. Real easy to determine. Okay, anything you're not content with, start altering the energy around it. Start removing the stuff that is holding you back or that you feel is not making you content. Okay, now, if you've got an idea of where you desire to go, what you would like to be doing with your life, this is easy. Okay, you take a look at whatever it is. Maybe you desire to be a mechanic. Okay, maybe this is a question of you're a mechanic and you'd really like to be able to do this. What do we got? I'm going to have to wait till that pops up. I should really ignore that one because it tells me something's coming, but I can't read it. And by the way, I did forget to announce, Eternity, you do have the gold. Yes, I wrote it in, but I do have a tendency of trying to announce it at the same time. Now, when you take a look at what your life is doing, okay, now is the time to alter it if you're not feeling fulfilled. This is when you turn around and go, I'm no longer doing it this way. And all you do is take a look at whatever's holding you back. For me, getting things in order really boiled down to getting my workspace sorted out. Okay, Operation Shutdown, how are you? And you are in with the silver. I saw you coming in. No, somebody else came in and I do not see that listed. Okay, I can't quite read that, and that would be the problem. Wondering why I can't read that. Move that over there for a second. Let's see what that does. Oh, Kunai. I did not see, because it didn't show up in my YouTube feed, Kunai is actually in with the bronze. No, my apologies. Kunai has come in with the silver. Sorry to say, Operation, you pulled the bronze today. Sadly, technology, like I said, doesn't always work properly for me. Get rid of that. Move this back down so I can read the others. Come to think, I put it over here so it actually looks like I'm looking at you. But when we take a look at it, now, Kunai has made the comment, alcohol is the worst drug available, very unhealthy for humans. Bad news, alcohol absolutely is a bad drug. And Lord knows, I used to be an alcoholic. But it depends on the person as to which one is the worst. Okay, I will tell you, I'm not promoting alcoholism by any functional stretch. But if you're not content with your life, okay, and bearing in mind that Kunai has brought up this issue of alcohol, there are ways. Now, alcoholism is a real simple thing, and there's a lot of you out there that suffer from it. Okay, there's a very, very, very few of you that actually enjoy your alcoholism. But in my opinion, there are two types of alcoholics. Alcoholics and recovered alcoholics. Okay, difference is a recovered alcoholic is somebody that used to be an alcoholic and now can have a drink or walk away from one without any withdrawals or any draw to it. Okay. But that said, if you're running into a problem, if you're running into a problem figuring out how to adjust, I am sitting on quite literally what I have come to understand by the clients I've had as a cure for alcoholism, drug addiction, and various other severe addictions. Okay, there is a way to break it, but that's okay. Okay, when you're looking at it, if you do have questions on that end, absolutely drop me a line. If you check the stream at the top of the chat room, you'll find a link that says buymeacoffee.com/innervoicej. That will get you to the way to get a hold of me, or drop me a line here. I do my best to keep on top of it, but we'll see what happens. That said, once you've decided you're not content, here is a short version. Now, I hope you got your pencil out, pen out, I don't care, needle and your finger. That's a bad idea, by the way. Pen and paper is your best option. Okay, I'd love it if you had a quill and a bottle of Indian ink. But first thing you do is you list off 12 things you enjoy doing. Doesn't matter what they are. If you enjoy a cup of coffee first thing in the morning, if that's one of the things that hits the top of your list, write it down. Now, you get down to 12, stop right there. You undoubtedly enjoy doing more things than just 12. Okay. But you stop at 12 because number 12 is the number of ultimate wisdom. Okay. You stop there and immediately go back and shortlist the 12. You shortlist it to the ones that help other people. Now, bearing in mind the idea of coffee, maybe you enjoy coffee, but I'll virtually guarantee it doesn't help anybody else, aside from making you potentially more tolerable. Okay, so you shortlist it by checking off the ones that help other people. For instance, if you enjoy working on a car, okay, then becoming a mechanic is one of those things that is an option because it helps other people. Okay, if you enjoy giving massages, again, it helps other people. Now, this will drop you to 6 or 7 items just like that. Then you shortlist that one more time to the things that help enough other people that you can generate an income on. Now, the fact you can generate an income does not mean you automatically will. Sorry, marketing is your department because I'm still fighting to figure it out. Okay, but when you take a look at, you check off the ones that help enough other people. If you like working on cars, frankly, you won't need as many people around as if you enjoy giving massages. Operation, I can expand on that. Operation is gone. Keith, I haven't heard about 12 being the number of ultimate wisdom. Could you expand on that? The answer is yes. I did a while ago, and I did a show based on what I call universal numerology, also known as base 12. But what is today? We're not doing it today. Where is my pen? Of course, I'm looking for a pen and can't find one. Why would I be able to find a pen while I'm sitting here at an office desk? You ever notice that people with office desks seldom have a pen right handy? But we're already booked. Well, Friday we won't be here. Why don't we look at Monday of next week? Okay. And Monday, and I mean Monday as in after the coming weekend. And we will take a look at universal numerology, which is where that 12 comes from. Okay, but you stop at 12, and the reason you're doing that is because you list off everything that you enjoy. You're going to run into an interesting snag. Okay, but Once you have pared it down to something that you enjoy, that helps enough other people to be able to generate an income. Yeah, LA goes, my pens and pencils always walk away all by themselves. And mine seem to do that quite regularly. Even though I keep putting them in a jar to keep it, to hold them, they seem to do their own little bit of walking away. Once you've done that, the reason this method works is because you're picking something you enjoy as a priority. If you have a job that you enjoy, you're not working anymore. Okay? Like, I write as much as I do because I enjoy it. Okay? I would enjoy the side effect a lot more if I could figure out how to market properly, but that seems to be a bad challenge. I know I had a friend of mine one day, he got a job, and he was an absolute grease monkey. When I met him, his V6 was on the living room floor, and the headers from his Harley were on the dining room table. Okay, he went out one day, came back, and goes, I never have to work another day in my life. I looked at him and I said, well, what did you do, win the lottery? He goes, sort of. I just got a job as a wrench for a wrecking yard. LA goes, I suspect my doggo is writing his manifesto. Careful, because he's probably working off a battle plan to go against cats. But when whatever it is that you feel you would like to do, that you're not necessarily doing now, this is the time to change the direction. Okay. Now let me see. I can't see with glasses anymore, at least not close up. Now, once you've picked a direction that you'd like to go, this is where it gets entertaining. Okay. Once you've picked something that you would like to be doing, maybe when you were younger, you had this dream of running a hotel. Okay. And life got in the way, you didn't get to it. Okay. There is nothing stopping you. Well, there might be. If you're still physically able to learn and to do the physical stuff required, there's nothing wrong with starting to go after it. Okay. One of the best things I ever found people do was turn around and go, I'm going to create my own work. Now, the neat little part there is it was put to me that an entrepreneur is simply someone willing to work 16 hours a day so they don't have to work 8 hours a day for somebody else. Now, you get to figure out how that piece is together. But let me ask you this. And Operation, I'm going to call on you directly. I'm just going to pick you out of a crowd. And in all fairness, I've done live speaking. And that's literally what I do. It's like, got a question for you. If all things were equal, what would you like to be doing with your life? Okay. And yeah, I know that's putting you on the spot, but I figure, what the heck? Now, for obvious reasons, I cannot force anybody to do anything. Okay. I can't even do that. I was going to say I could force you to go and watch something else by just simply going off air. But you could still sit there and stare at the computer. I'm not sure what enjoyment that would be, but what the heck. But in order to change your life, you gotta, number one, stop pointing the finger at other people and saying it's their fault. Or, you can certainly look and go, I wish I'd have gotten this message a decade ago. Okay, wishes are great. But the reality is, whether you got it a decade ago and didn't act on it, or you didn't get it, so you didn't act on it, either one resulted in the same thing. You haven't grabbed a direction and said, that's where I'm going. Okay. So, with all the struggles that are going on right now, isn't it time to start looking at your life and go, I'm going to do something that makes me happy, not that makes everybody else happy. Okay? One of the biggest challenges in this life is trying to say things that doesn't offend somebody. Good luck. Okay? I made a comment to somebody one day. I was walking down the street and I went, have a good day. He spun on me and he looks at me and he goes, don't tell me what kind of day to have. Okay, Operation Just a Thought, and thank you so much for that input. Operation goes, probably do less graphic design and more art and music that I enjoy. Just a suggestion, starting tomorrow, because today's a little late. Okay, you're pretty much out of today. I don't know where you are, but it's 9:30 here. And I'm guessing it's a little late in the day to start working. But starting tomorrow, like tonight, schedule an hour of your time tomorrow that you literally sit down and work on the art and or music that you design, that you enjoy. Never mind what anybody else does. Okay, take that hour and dedicate it to either your music or your art. You get to split that up. I'm suspecting that the graphic design is how you make an income. Okay, but I will tell you, here's a big reason to start doing what you enjoy. If you're not happy with your job, if you're not happy with what your life is doing, you are undoubtedly, in my eyes. Oh, there we go. Operation goes at 12:30 a.m. where I'm at on the East Coast. Okay, if you're not content, here's the sad reality. I call it a sad reality because I've spent 50 years consulting with people, and the massive majority that are not content with their life will spend an exorbitant amount of money trying to convince themselves they're happy. Okay, if you're not content, you're going to spend a lot of money trying to convince yourself or trying to prove to others you're happy with what you're doing. The major majority of workaholics, they're doing it because they're not content with home. Okay, and I do mean that literally. Now, yes, some workaholics get absolutely carried away at home. Okay, but the trick is, now I'm going to break something down here, and I'm going to go and do this for you. Like I said, I've said this many times, everything is connected. Now, you may not be aware of this thing, but where are we here? Here we are. This is an astrological wheel. This is a horoscope wheel. Okay, and I'm not going to go into the breakdown, but this wheel is broken into 4 parts, into 4 quadrants. Okay, and here's the kicker. There are 4 aspects of your life that you've got to have in balance. Okay, now breaking it up into equal parts every day in today's world is a little complicated. Okay, because in today's world, most people want to work are being asked to work 8 hours a day. Okay, well, here's the problem. You don't have 32 hours in a day. But if you split it up over the week and put 6 hours a day per week, in other words, 42 hours goes into your own stuff, the things that you enjoy. This may be just going for a walk, maybe sitting on the beach, sun tanning. Maybe you like staring at the idiot box or playing video games. You spend 1/4 of your time doing that. 1/4 of your time you spend with friends, family, doing things with the social side of things. Maybe this is coworkers you get along with. Okay, it's interacting with other people. Now, some of you, myself included, aren't really great at the idea of going out and seeing a whole pile of people. But 1/4 of your time you spend interacting. And by the way, that means interacting with family as well. The first is on you. The second 6 is on your on bloodline, friends, strangers, whatever gets your attention. Okay. Now, with that in mind, section 3 is your work. Okay. Now, work is either whatever you're doing to make a living or whatever you're learning to be able to make a living, meaning you're schooling. Okay. Now, I hope you're writing these things down because I kid you not, this works. Okay. And again, don't take my word for it. This is back to that idea of do your own research. Now, I'm curious if anybody knows what the 4th part of the day and what that other 6 hours is. Okay. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I will give you the answer in about 5 minutes. See if you can figure out. You've got personal, you've got interpersonal, and you've got business or education. What's the 4th brand, the 4th thing that you've got to make certain you're getting in order for your life to run smoothly? Any ideas? And yeah, I realize we've only got 6 people in the room. I would love to have, have a couple of thousand in the room at a time. But I'm guessing that's going to be a while down the road, if ever. Okay. But I will tell you this operation. I'm just looking back here. That would be the one operation. Okay. Right there. Operation come up with sleep. Okay. The fact of the matter is you require sleep. Now, here's the kicker. When I got bored one day. Now, I always looked at the idea of 8 hours of sleep. You're sleeping a third of your life away. And besides that, if I was getting over 6, I was groggy and just about useless. So on a whim, I just did the calculation. And I went, what would happen if you cut your sleep from 4 hours a day or from 8 hours a day to 4 hours a day, if it did not cost you your health or your enjoyment of life? So I broke it by, did the calculation, and you know what? Turns out, okay, LA, the relaxation and entertainment, that falls into that first 6. Okay, that is the things you do for you. This is why I end up painting these little guys. I gotta get back to them. Okay, I do that as a way of just simply killing time. I enjoy it, so what the heck? But I found out if you cut your sleep back to 4 hours a day, okay, what you'll find happen is you get an extra month and a half living time. Okay, now the most productive people in the world, locally speaking, are up somewhere between 5 and 6 a.m. local time. This is why you see so many successful people or apparently successful people on the golf course, and playing by noon. It's because they've already put in their 6 hours of work in the morning. Okay, now do not get me wrong. I'm not telling you how to schedule your life. Okay, as it turns out, I usually sleep about 3 hours. I'm up for 6. I grab another couple hours of sleep. Okay, that's just the way my body is working at this point. But the important factor is that you do split the time up. And yes, I literally took today. I did take some time for entertainment, but the big thing I took my time with was organizing my house. Okay, I now have, amazingly enough, with the finances I've been fighting with, I've actually got food in my pantry, enough to run, I'd have to calculate, but I probably got close to a month's worth of food, excluding perishables. Okay, but what you got to look at right there, right now, while you're here, and I don't mean next week. Yes, you can procrastinate. Lord knows I'm good at it. Okay. But all procrastination has ever done for anybody in my experience is delayed the inevitable. So if you're not content with your life, if you're not feeling fulfilled, now is the time to do it. Okay. Now, this is just one of those things that I call a step in the right direction. I made a commitment to my father that I would finish reading this. It's called the Bible. Some of you may have used it for a footstool. No, that was wrong. Anyway, that orange line, that's all I've got left to finish reading. I told my dad I would finish it by then, that I would read it cover to cover. I will be really happy when I'm completed with it. Pick whatever goal it is. Start getting them racked off. If you're doing something, let's say for instance, you're not happy with the fact that your pantry isn't organized. Well, have you ever noticed you can sit there and put all the positive affirmations out there, do all the prayers you'd like? There has not been one person I've ever heard of where God, an angel, an alien came down from outer space or came down from wherever and reorganized your house. Okay, at least not the way you wanted it. I've got one that does it here regularly. It's annoying. But all the prayers, all the positive affirmations in the world are not going to change your life. Okay? And I'm not talking about something that's going to take you, a week down the road, you'll see change. I'm telling you, you start doing this now, and it changes now. Kind of a long delay there, wasn't it? There's a little bit of a pause in the time I said now and now. But that's the delay that you got. Okay. It really boils down to one little detail. From your end, it's time to look at it and go, I'm not fulfilled. There's something missing in my life. So what am I going to do to make that turn right? Well, talk to somebody that's done it successfully. Okay? Talk to somebody that has literally taken their life that came out wrong. That has literally changed their life from what it was to something that they can see progress in. Okay? I'm looking at my world, and if you look at my old videos, you'll see how much of a clutter there was in my world. Okay? I decided I wasn't content with it. Okay? So what did I do? I did that weird thing. I put a list together and went, these are the things that have to be done. And I've talked to you multiple times about this. But it boils down to get 3 things on the list that only take 15 minutes to half an hour, okay, to complete. Write 3 things down. When you get it completed, check it off and write another one. Okay? And the reason for that is it gets things moving in the right direction. Do not, when you're doing that, forget to keep in mind you've got to take time to eat. Okay, and let me ask you this, Blue. Welcome aboard, by the way. Pretty certain I missed something here. I'm going to go back up here. Eternity had the gold, and I forget the individual's name, but we know that Operation came in with the silver. So we scroll down, and what do we have? Yep, Blue, you are actually in with the honorable mention. Now, let me ask you this. In your eyes, are you on the right path for you? In your eyes. Okay, as in your current life, your current career, is this bringing you a sense of fulfillment? That is ultimately what we're looking at. Okay, and one of the important factors we have to realize is if you're not content with it, you're the one that's going to have to get up and do something. But it's just a curiosity thing on my end. Okay. this is the one thing that I keep looking at. Okay, I do keep an eye on how many people we've got in the room. And the reason for it is because I'm hoping at some point to find that one piece of information that I have in my possession that draws people's attention. Do not get me wrong. Where it comes to self-help, here's the thing. Most people are not aware they require the assistance. And secondly, if they are aware they require it, they got no idea where to turn. Okay, let's face it, one of the drawbacks to being a recluse is nobody knows where you are. Oh, there we are. Oh, yeah. LA goes, I feel my path now is the correct one. I'm happy, content, and able to do more. And that pretty much sums it up. If you're content with your life and you're able to do things that make you feel better about it, that's the bottom line. Okay, I know in my case, I know I'm doing what I would like to be doing. I just wish I was having a bigger impact, and that I'm working on. But the reality is the path you're currently on. You're the only one that can tell you if it's the right one. I've seen way too many people get into a career that somebody else said that's the career you'd be really best suited for. Turns out they got no interest in it, and therefore they end up struggling to make themselves happy. And net result, we have that neat little sidetrack. Oh, let's go out and drink after work, or let's go out and just get high because it'll make us feel better. And it really doesn't work that way. One of the things we have to remember is that if you're not content, you're going to be drawn to find anything to take the edge off the discontent or to take the edge off the pain and the disappointment you're feeling. Lord knows. Now, understand, I was an alcoholic and a drug addict. Okay, but I got into them both to get somebody that was 100% total stranger out of them. The moment they walked out of them, so did I. Okay, so I know for an absolute certainty, if I can change that and change my tendency of holding on to everything. Okay, I was also a professional pack rat, by the way. Okay, and yeah, Storm has just popped up a reminder. This Friday, I will be on Spaced Out Radio from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific. Okay, then that's the first Friday of the month, and I'm always on there. I've been on there every Friday for the first Friday of the month for the last roughly 10 years. Okay, I'm a creature of habit. What can I say? Well, I could say a lot of things, but if you desire to change your life today, okay, all you have to do is go, I'm not feeling completely fulfilled. Okay, now maybe it's a question of you used to read a lot, and maybe with the advent of the computer and all the distractions that are provided by society, maybe you haven't been reading. Okay, and maybe that's something that used to bring you a lot of attention, a lot of enjoyment. Well, newsflash, there are still books out there. I know, because I keep putting them out there, and there's lots of authors out there that are doing the same thing. Matter of fact, come to think of it, I should do that. Just a quick little note for myself here to make sure that I get back on track, or more to the point. I was reading, and I stopped for a while. I've got an encyclopedia, a nature encyclopedia. It's a 15-volume set, 16 if you include the index. I had read the first 6 volumes. I'm going to go back to reading it again. Okay, I'm still reading the Bible. Again, Find whatever it is that you feel is lacking in your life. Okay, maybe it's a question of you're a budding poet. Now, I will tell you, I am in the process of making certain everybody that I can help gets helped. This is just what I do. Okay, I am not a wealthy man by any functional stretch if you speak in terms of monetary. But the catch to making your life better is literally to decide, are you personally content? If you are personally content, then you're probably not here. But what you've got to start looking at, take a look at whatever is in front of you. Is it contributing towards what is going to make you feel fulfilled? If it is not, it's time to modify it. Now, I know, I go back up front today, my dining room table is full of stuff I pulled off the pantry shelf. This is not making me happy. So guess what I'm doing when I get done this stream? I'd love to grab some sleep, but I didn't get much yesterday. But, I keep figuring, there's lots of time for me to sleep when I'm dead. But if you're not content with your life right this moment, if there's something that you are not feeling fulfilled about, okay, it's time for a change. And before somebody jumps on that, let's assume that you're not content with your work. Okay, don't go quitting your job until you have a replacement income. Okay, this is just going to add to your stresses. Boy, that is really bad video coming over YouTube. Yeah, Blue goes, I believe I'm on the right path, but I'm going to continue to check in with myself to make sure I am currently fully in alignment with that direction. Absolutely. Now, just a thought, because you can get carried away with double checking. Okay, I make a point of it myself to go over that list once every 3 months. Okay, because you can do it every day and get caught up in the list. This is also why, what have I got here? Yep. This is also why when I'm using a list here, and I don't expect you to read my handwriting even if it was clear, but you'll notice maybe there are check marks down. I've got a whole list of things all the way down to here. What is it? About 3/4 of them are done. What was that? Yeah, about 3/4 of them are actually finished. But I'm going to continue working. The fact of the matter is, I end up with a very long list. Now, starting now. Okay, for those of you that are procrastinators, here's a good one for you. How about if you procrastinating and get up and make this happen? Okay, you may not thank me for it. Okay, and I really don't care from that end. I got no problem with it. I love the positive feedback, don't get me wrong. But the important factor is that you get your life on the track that is going to help you feel fulfilled. Okay, this is just the reality of life. If you're not feeling fulfilled, you can virtually guarantee you're going to sink a lot of money into distractions. This, by the way, if you're having financial difficulties and you're spending your money on distractions, you may run into a snag. I know I did. Okay, so what we're looking at is deciding, okay, I've lived my life however old you are. Doesn't matter if you're 8 or 80. Okay, let's face it. If you're 8 years old and you're a couple of months behind, it's a lot bigger chunk of a lot bigger percentage. Okay, of time that you've been sitting stagnant. If you're 80 and you've been stagnant for a month, it's not that big of a percentage. However, as a millionaire once told me, and it applies to time in this case, but the millionaire told me a penny is a penny is a penny. Okay, and no matter who you are, A minute is a minute is a minute. The longer you sit waiting for somebody else to change your life, the less time you have to enjoy it. Now, I take a look at this in the same conjunction that I do with blame. Blaming somebody else for your life not moving forward. Now, sometimes that applies. I unfortunately left the situation I kept asking for answers. Okay. And because of my buying into that, the fact I didn't get the answers really caused me to shut down. Wasn't their fault that I shut down. It was mine. It was their fault that they didn't give me the answers. But by the way, I'm not referring to the government. Okay. And rest assured, if you ever get a phone call, we're from the government and we're here to help. That's a wonderful thought. You get to figure out how that works. Okay. But what it is very important you do is decide, are you fulfilled? If not, start working today, right now, towards altering the energy flow, or changing where your focus is to start drawing things to you that contribute to your feeling of fulfillment. Chad, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And this is another one of our moderators. Glad you could come in. And when we that's what that is. The fact of the matter is, as you start unloading the clutter from your life, and I mean anything that is not contributing to your feeling fulfilled, whatever it is, whether it's a thought pattern, whether it's a physical habit, maybe it's a mental habit, okay, maybe it's just, and this is a mental habit, by the way, maybe the holdup is you keep pointing the finger at the government, going, they're screwing everything in my life up. Or, when is God going to come down and fix my life? When are the aliens going to come down and straighten out this mess? Guys, it's up to you to deal with your own life. Now, absolutely, if you don't know where to begin, you can do one of two things. Look right where you are. Doesn't matter where you are. Well, it does. If you happen to be listening to me and you're driving, okay, keep your focus on the road in front of you. Okay, no point in having you run into a telephone pole. And by the way, I knew a guy that actually used that as an excuse. He had combined alcohol and driving. And he literally told the cop, he told the police officer, well, the telephone pole jumped out right in front of me. Now, I don't know, but for some reason, the officer didn't buy it. The fact of the matter is, you desire your life to change. Now is the time to make it happen. Okay. Oh, and by the way, just a real quick side note. I today finished putting the last of the races of the world onto my desktop to expand them and get them moved. Okay. So I don't know what page I'm on right now, but we are winding down. Yeah, LA goes, I realized a long time ago, if I needed a rescue, I'd better find a life preserver pretty quick. Absolutely. The reality is nobody, myself included, can protect you from you. You're the one that's going to have to make the effort. Yes, you're going to require help. Lord knows, and I cannot thank them enough. Storm and LA have stepped up personally to help me way more often than I'm even going to try and calculate. LA, we can certainly do that. Now, since we've already got Monday sorted around, and I'm talking Monday of next week, I just don't know what date that is offhand. Oh, I have no idea what I wrote there. Or did I write it there? Oh, that's what I did. Put it here for notes. What? So, okay. Now, LA has asked, could we do? What? Can't read that. Could we do a little show on how to plan to be lucky? That we can. And because I haven't got anything planned yet anyway, Tuesday next week, okay, we are going to look at planning to be lucky. Okay. Or more to the point, I like that. How to plan to be lucky. You know, the reason I ask for ideas is so I don't have to think. You know, and in all fairness, I really don't know how much, how many different topics I actually fly in. But that will be next Tuesday. I still haven't laid out Saturday and Sunday yet, so I got to do that. So let me ask you this, because Saturday and Sunday, we are still going to be going with the alien side. Does anybody have a request or a suggestion for things on the alien side of things to cover on Saturday and Sunday? Glad you're still here, Eternity. Because I will sort that out. I just haven't gone through them just yet. But one thing I do know, yes, it is. And here's the funny thing, LA, and we'll get into this on Tuesday. Planning to be lucky is great. Making that happen is the real trick. And that ties in, by the way, really tightly with this whole idea of reorienting your life. Okay, so we reoriented today. Next Tuesday, start today. But we're going to go over planning to be lucky on Tuesday. Okay, and we'll carry on however however it is required. The one thing I've got to be cautious of is that we don't get into the idea of getting stonewalled or getting drawn into a rut. Okay, but that's just the way this world is going. And by the way, here's the neat thing. Okay, all of what we're talking about here, holy mackerel, I missed that. All of what we're talking about is transferable into any species I've run into, any one of them. Now, I just noticed the time. It just about got away from us here. Well, it did get away from us. But I do thank you for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. Love the questions. Absolutely keep them coming. Now, this is Tuesday, which means tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. Operation, the answer is yes. Okay. And yeah, I can go through that. I can paint that for you. That's actually not a bad idea at all. So we'll deal with that on Saturday. Yeah. Okay, now, that said, so thank you very much for that, Operation. Now, with that in mind, I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us tonight. Really appreciate it. I will be back again on Saturday. I'll be back on Spaced Out Radio Friday night at 9 p.m. Okay, on Saturday I will be back here 9 p.m. and we will discuss. I will see you then. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.